happy to have General Manager Thad Levine, who's spent a lot of time here with the Texas Rangers, was involved in the acquisition of Cole Hamels, and saw the Rangers get to the World Series a couple of times, get to the playoffs on a regular basis. Thad, thanks for stopping by and saying hi.
Fond memories.
Repeat that answer, because we didn't have your microphone turned
Oh, I'm
up.
sorry. I appreciate the intro. Those were some fond memories of being here, but it's.
Oh, we didn't hear that either.
It's good to be on the other side of the ledger now.
Well, you have to be happy. The team is off to a decent start, 10-10. Nobody's going to, get too excited about that, but certainly better than the start last year. How would you assess the first 20 games of the season?
I felt as if I learned a lot from Ron Washington when he was the manager with the Texas Rangers, and he always said if you're truly one pitch, one catch, or one hit away in a game, that you're close to doing something special. And I feel as if through the first 20 games, there have been a few games that we were knocked out a little bit early, but outside of those games, we really have truly been competitive right to the last. Now, that doesn't mean we've triumphed in every single one of those games, but I think we've been competitive. We've been playing fundamental baseball. That's what I evaluate. Whether we were 10-10 or something slightly different is a little bit secondary to me. I think that's putting ourselves in positions to win games, and that's the most important thing at this stage.
2-2 to Vargas, and it's dribbled to the right side, and Rua feeds Hamels. Vargas is retired 1-1.
Thad, what's the biggest thing you've learned? I mean, all your years here, you've had some great mentors. And now you're carrying it into the Twins.
I feel like I got a chance to be around a lot of terrific people while I was here. And, certainly I'd start with John Daniels. He was my boss, my mentor, but also a great friend throughout my time here. When we started this segment, you guys talked about the acquisition of Cole Hamels. And I think one thing that I hope to take away from my time with the Texas Rangers and bring to the Minnesota Twins is a undying pledge to try to put a championship caliber team on the field. And I think that in Texas, we ended up making a lot of trades, some aggressive trades. Quite frankly, have a lot of players who are not playing for the Texas Rangers anymore that are performing extremely well elsewhere, but it was always in the name of trying to put a better team on the field. And I think what is all too popular when you're in these positions is you get into a position where you're more concerned about your self-preservation. It's so tough to get these jobs. You want to hold on to them as desperately as you can. And I just would say that one thing that we did in Texas, and I learned from John, and one thing I'd like to pledge to the fans of Minnesota is we're never going to put our own job security ahead of trying to put a championship club on the field. And whether that's now or in the future, that will always be our focus.
Escobar, the batter, swing and a miss, and it's 1-2. Well, your history here in recent years and Derek's history in Cleveland, if you're in contention around the trade deadline, the history would suggest you want to go for it, right? I mean, and Twins fans might be getting ahead of themselves, but if the Twins find themselves around the 500 mark, around the trade deadline, and if there's a possible wild card spot to win, what can they look forward to?
Well, I think our jobs are to properly assess where we are in that kind of competitive cycle. But you don't want to take winning lightly. If you get an opportunity to win and it's a little bit ahead of time, as you had planned, I think you got to seize the opportunity. You got to let your players tell you that they may be a little bit closer, a little bit more ready than you had anticipated. And I just feel as if from our office we communicate that we believe in the team and we think that there's a chance that they're going to win, then they are going to have a chance to win. If you kind of start disseminating the word that you don't believe in your club, I think it's hard to expect that they're going to go out there and fight tooth and nail every single night and do what it takes to win what will be a very competitive division. So I think first things first, you have to make a statement that you believe in your team, and part of that statement, quite frankly, is making moves at the deadline to support them. Now, they ultimately then have to go out and win the games. We don't have any delusions about that. But if we can do what we can do, hopefully that will inspire them to step up and do exactly what they're capable of doing.
I've been on clubs, Thad, that, you get to the trading deadline that you're talking about right there, and everybody in the clubhouse is saying, we need this guy, we need that guy, but then we got there because of who we had. Right. And I remember when they traded Tom Bernansky, we had a great chemistry, but then we brought in somebody else that didn't fit in as well.
Well, I think you bring up an exceptional point is, just to bring in somebody who may be 1%, 2% better than the player that's walking out the door, I don't believe in that, because I think every move has a disruption to it. And if you don't take into consideration what that player meant to the team from a chemistry standpoint, I think you're doing a team a huge disservice. It's maybe easier to weather those types of storms in the offseason, but when you're in the thick of a fight and you take somebody out of the equation who means a lot to that club, whether it's on the field or in the clubhouse, I think you're doing the team a disservice. So it's incumbent upon Derek and myself to be in constant communication with Paul and his staff to make sure we don't make those types of mistakes. And then I think what you brought up is very important too. What happens first? Does the team inspire you to go out and make a trade, or do you inspire the team by going out and to make a trade? I think there's a delicate balance there, and I think you just got to start with a feel and the communication with the staff to see who really needs to make the first move there. Ideally, the team inspires you to make the move, you make the move, and that only enhances the performance of the club on the field.
There is a precedent in Minnesota in the mid to late 80s. There were some new executives brought in from the outside, Andy McPhail, Bob Gebhardt, guys like that. And they were exactly where you are right now, you and Derek, and they were trying to get organized, and they ended up winning the World Series in 1987. So I don't want to put any pressure on you or anything like that.
That sounds glorious when you say that. Andy McPhail going into the Hall of Fame this year, and I'm sure that's long overdue for Minnesota Twins fans. Somebody who everyone in the game reveres. And then Bob Gebhardt was one of the first people I got a chance to treat as a mentor. He's always been exceptionally kind. So
with the Rockies?
Yeah, right. Exactly right. And so I think these are guys whose legacies live on with the Minnesota Twins, and they've touched myself, and I'm sure Derek's had interactions with the two of them as well. So their legacies live on with the Twins.
Jimenez with a nice plate appearance. He ends up at first base. And that'll get Rosario to the plate with a man aboard.
Yeah, second walk for Hamels in the ball game.
Let's talk as quickly as we can because we got 2 outs. But I mentioned when the Rangers got Hamels, a lot of people thought, well, the balance of his contract would be a deterrent. And the Rangers looked at it just the other way, didn't they?
We did. We started the conversation with assessing what the free agent classes for starting pitchers were going to be for the upcoming 2 seasons. And we felt that his contract and what was remaining on it actually was going to be very competitive, if not a bargain for what he was delivering. And you said it was going to be a short conversation.
Can you stick with us for another half inning?
Please. Happy to.
All right.